Let's move forward.
That sounds good to me. Okay, can we open with the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America
And
and to the republic for which it stands,
and
one
one
nation.
nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty
liberty, and justice for all.
Okay, may we have the roll call, please?
Sure. Frank Maupin,
Here.
Tom Carroll,
Here.
Don Kincaid,
Here.
Britt Bourne,
Present.
BJ Yetter,
Here.
Steve Imhoff.
Here.
Okay. Dottie and Dan will be here momentarily, and I will mark what time they get here if they do.
Okay, purpose of the meeting is to review the bylaws, appoint trustees from, excuse me, from prospective councils, nominate and elect officers, annual resolutions for online auction, adopt schedule for regular board meetings, and to revisit credit card policy. Okay, I guess first is to review the bylaws.
After reading the bylaws, I don't see any need to do any changes at this time. Unless legal counsel offers us,
No, I agree. There was nothing that we left from last time to revisit. So unless the board has an issue they want to address, there's nothing on my agenda that we need to change at this point.
Any other comments? Say again? You're muted, Dottie.
Dottie, I think you're on mute.
Okay. All right, well, let's. What was that, Dottie?
he's still muted.
She's still muted.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I
Hello.
just spoke from the fire station here.
Okay.
All right.
Did you have any comments on the bylaws?
I suggest we accept them. No other comment.
Okay. We have a motion on that?
I make a motion, we accept the bylaws.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second that the bylaws stand as is. Is there anyone, all those opposed? I mean, excuse me. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion is moved and approved to accept the bylaws and for them to remain as they are. We're at the point to nominate officers. You know, this is the time for the change.
This is
And,
BJ. Yeah, Keith.
The president has to be from Deer Park.
Okay.
Are there any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Yetter as president.
I second that.
Hurry quick while he's on the phone. He won't know what hit him.
Like they did to me last year.
if we approve him as president, does that mean he can't be the treasurer and secretary at the same time?
You can be them
We give him
all.
all the work while he's on the phone. I think Brett had a really good idea there.
Okay. It's been nominated as Mr. Jeter as the president, vice president, or do we go ahead and firm that up right now?
Yeah, Don, why don't we see if there are any other nominations? If not, you can close them and then we can take a vote.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations at this time, Mr. Jeter, you are now the president of the fire board.
You're on mute.
Don't worry about it. He's muted.
I think we still have to vote on it, right?
Yeah, we
Thank
need.
you.
Yeah,
That's what I get
let's
for taking
let's
a
take a
phone call.
vote.
Sorry.
Let's take a
Mr.
vote.
Jeter being president.
Um,
And we
Aye.
might want to
Okay.
make sure that he accepts the nomination.
He did.
Any other nominations for the other positions on the board?
Not at this time. We're confirming the president first. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? It is passed unanimously that Mr. Jeter is now the president of the Deer Park-Silverton Fire Board.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You care to take over at this point?
Well, I was just going to say, who else do we have for nominations for the vice president and that?
I'd
We
like
haven't
to
done that yet.
motion to nominate Britt Bourne for vice president.
I'll second.
All in favor? Any questions on the motion? All right, I need a motion to accept Britt as the vice president.
I make that motion.
Does Britt accept?
Does Britt accept? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, so I
Oh,
make,
yes. Thank you, everyone.
Don't take a phone call, Britt, like I did. So, do we have any objections? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Britt is the vice president. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Melinda, do we have any other positions on the board that have to be nominated?
No.
Okay. Thank you all for that. We need to adopt the minutes that have been presented to you. Are there any questions in regards to that?
I move approval of the minutes as submitted.
a second.
Tom and Dottie, any questions on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Credit card policy. Melinda.
Okay, this is just the annual credit card report that we're supposed to do every February at the organizational meeting. All it says is the expiration dates of our PNC visas. The Chiefs is November of 2021. Chris Iredale, Deputy Chiefs, is February of 2023. And mine is December of 2022. Then we have station cards that have no expiration date. We have Home Depot and Staples. And then this will show you every month how many rewards we earned, January through December. So I just went ahead and asked PNC to deposit into our account the dollar amount of those rewards. And this year it's $240. So that's how much we were paid for using the card. And that money just goes right back off of our Visa account. Were there any questions?
Did you say that money goes right off of our Visa account into? our
Yeah, right
PNC?
back in. Yeah, it just is a credit to our account.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm. And then it looked, were there any other questions? It looks like, BJ, we might be on number 7 to adopt regular board meeting dates next.
I missed that one. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Let's go ahead and approve the credit card policy as submitted, or that we received it. Need a motion?
So
I move
moved.
we approve the credit card policy as submitted.
Tom?
Second.
Frank? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, let's back up. I missed the adoption of the 2021 board meetings. Anyone have any questions on those?
I move we approve the meeting dates and ask our clerk treasurer to send out Outlook invites at her earliest opportunity so they get logged on the calendar and blocked off.
Yes, I will.
Very good. Have a second on Mr. Carroll's motion?
Second.
Britt?
Yeah.
Very good. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So moved. Okay, at this time we have the chief director's report. It should be on item 9.
The report or the evaluation?
Yeah, it's about the evaluation. That's
Oh, I'm sorry, Alan.
Yeah,
Okay,
so,
Alan, this is all you. I'm sorry.
yeah, that's fine. So we're at the annual evaluation process again. If you recall, we did 2 evaluations last year, one in the spring and then a mid-year evaluation. So we're back to what's really the annual evaluation that we do in the spring. And you can decide whether you want to do one again mid-year. But at this point, what I need from everybody is just to fill out the evaluation form that I think Belinda included in your packet.
Mm-hmm.
Get it back to me. I think my home address is there. That's still the best place to send it. So if everybody could send that to my home address, or you can email it to me, either way, fine with either. Then I'll go ahead and compile those. I will prepare the narrative like I usually do. What I typically do is circulate it to members of the subcommittee so they can review it ahead of time and approve it. And then I circulate it to Denny and we talk if there are any questions about it. So we're ready for that process again. The only other issue that's related to that is compensation for the non-union employees, so chief, deputy chief, and clerk. And that's something that, typically you would consider that at the beginning of the year or close to the beginning of the year. Things are a little different this year because of COVID and the inability to meet in person. That's often a matter to discuss in executive session. The logistics of executive session are a little difficult over Zoom. Not that we couldn't do it, but it would be a little cumbersome. So in speaking with Britt about this, because she's typically led the subcommittee efforts on that, they decided not to put anything on your agenda today to discuss that, but I do think it's important to address it in a timely manner. So as soon as you're able to figure out a plan for determining what you want to do, if anything, about compensation changes this year, it would be appropriate to do that. And I think what we ought to do is have it probably on the schedule on a regular basis, probably put it on a late fall meeting, at least to address. So everybody's ready to go for the organizational meeting or as soon thereafter as you want to discuss those issues. So a couple things is, one, just deciding what to do about this year, and then 2, just making sure we have it calendared so it comes up on a regular basis so it's addressed, and whether you want to do anything or not.
What's your pleasure, board?
Well, I would actually recommend, I think, we typically do, we do the chief's evaluation. We do this in February, and then try to have something so that Denny can, something for Denny to see, and all of our responses within the next month or so, I feel like is what we've done the last couple of years. So I don't know if it is appropriate to typically do that kind of conversation in April.
Well, I was going to suggest, Britt, along with your thoughts there, is that we might bring that conversation in April, providing everyone gets their stuff in, and we have some sort of compilation of what has transpired in the reports from each other. So that's your thoughts.
I mean, in a typical year, I would say yes. I don't know if in April of this year we're going to be able to meet in person. My assumption is we're not going to be able to meet in person until probably June. The majority of us will be vaccinated and able to come together. So, I mean, I think maybe April in a typical year is fine. I don't know if it makes sense to try to do it before the June meeting for this particular year.
I have no problem with that either. What's everyone's consensus on this?
I don't see a problem with it. Meeting in June.
It's fine with me.
Okay.
Tom looked like he wanted to say something.
Sorry, BJ. So just a question that I'm not sure I know the answer to and probably should. You know, we evaluate the fire chief, but there's two other non-bargaining employees, which would be Belinda and Chris, the deputy chief. And I think the practice is the board has to set any non-bargaining wage increase, but I'm not sure that other than the chief who we're evaluating and then tying compensation to his evaluation, we haven't really developed a practice on what we do with the two additional non-board reporting employees, really. So should we develop a practice that we have a different calendar for setting a pay adjustment for Belinda and Chris? I'm asking, not leading us in that direction. I simply don't know. And maybe somebody can refresh my memory as to what we did. I think we did do an appropriate pay adjustment, which included truing up those three employees who are not in the bargaining unit in 2020, including back pay for wage increases that they didn't receive.
I think we did.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Tom. Last year, we did catch up because there was a gap in consideration, I think, of about a year. So you went ahead and did true them up for what they would have been paid had the raise gone into effect earlier, and then put the new rate into effect to be reconsidered the following year.
To be truthful with you, Tom, I think you're right on the mark there, but I would like to see us address all this in June. If we're going to do the chief, if we have that evaluation, that would give us a pretty good handle on what we're going to do in regards to the other non-union employees. From a scheduling standpoint, I think we should be looking at any raises on non-union employees by at least the beginning of the fourth quarter.
I agree.
We're not jumping way out front. I think we'll know our finances better, but at the same time, we have to be respectful of our employees too. So that's where I think we're going to have to address immediately anything in June, but then turn around and look at what we're going to have to do come fourth quarter, if that's doable.
I was simply trying to communicate that maybe we don't need to wait to evaluate Denny in order to, if we are going to make a pay adjustment for Belinda and Chris. That was where I was going with that. And maybe we can give some thought as we get through this year to figure out in 2022, we do this a little bit in advance at the same time that we're looking at the collective bargaining agreement, that kind of thing. So I agree with you, BJ, and I defer to you. I think you're spot on.
Anybody got any different approaches? Britt?
No, I mean, generally speaking, I would say it makes sense to have one conversation about everyone, collectively at the same time, just for sake of ease, so that we're not sitting here going, what month did we try to do what? And do we remember what we did?
Yep.
Is that what I sounded like? Is that what you think I sounded like?
Shades.
Very hurtful.
No. I mean, just, for the sake of ease. But what I'm hearing is it just might not make sense otherwise to do it that way. So it might end up being split into two conversations no matter how we do it. So
I don't think it really needs to be. One conversation should be enough, because if we sit down to do it, then we don't have to worry about trying to pull something up in the middle.
Okay.
Now, what we have in play, well, I'm not the.
If I may, you do have a annual board calendar that you guys came up with a couple years ago. And if you want, I think that's coming next on the agenda. If you want to change, there are some of the things you're talking about are on the board calendar already. And I believe that I gave you that with your packet. If that will help.
It probably best fits in the April agenda, but I think because of what we just discussed, this year we're going to have to look at doing anything we do is in June. I think that's what we all asked to do. But I see your calendar, Linda. Thank you.
And this would be a chance too to move anything around that you want to, since it's an organizational meeting on the calendar. I mean, anything, anything at all.
We already got in October non-union employee rate review and discussion. So that was timely with my comment in regards to the other non-union employees. The chief is the one that we historically start his review process in February. So I think what we need to do is make a decision. Do we wait till June and have this discussion as a whole, like we just talked about, like Don mentioned, or do we break it down in two segments? I think we should just do it all at one time, and then that move the ball forward. But come October, that's another discussion period that we might have to deal with. Does that make sense?
Why do you say that? Come October, there's another discussion. Might be another discussion.
Well, we've talked about this, Dottie, just that the fact that we would want to review non-union employees under the board schedule that's already out there in October. So that would be the first of the fourth quarter. And I think that's something that's prudent in where we're going, because we'll have a pretty good idea of the finances of the fire district at that point. So I just think this has been an oddball year period, no matter what we do. And it give us a chance in June to meet face to face, providing everything goes well, and have this discussion, and then we can make some definitives out of that. I mean, that seems to be the logical approach for 2021.
Yeah.
So June.
Yes, ma'am.
Live with me.
Do we have concurrence on this or not?
I'm there.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Both opposed? Okay, Alan, that's our direction. Okay, going to the regular meeting. I think I jumped the gun on this, but we need to ratify the board minutes of December 1st and January 25th.
Motion to approve.
Steve?
January 21st.
Second.
Who was that, Dan?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Do we have any additions to the agenda? Okay. Review of the annual board calendar. Anybody have any suggestions of change to the calendar other than what we just previously talked about?
No comment.
All right. Any questions? Seeing that, we'll move on. Report of district clerk, Belinda.
Okay, first we're going to go over a couple financial statements from 2020 year end. The first report, there's a bunch of pages stapled together. This is the one that I have to give the state auditor. So I do ours and then I put everything in their format. But basically, the first page is just in cash balance at the end of the year was $1,388,083. That's how much our carryover was, how much money we have in reserve. If you want to go ahead and look at the next page, like I said, this is a little bit different than what you're used to. We will go over the report that you are used to seeing, but I just wanted to point out on the second report, total receipts, total revenue received was $1,940,115. And then the total expenditures was $1,946,037. The difference is a net change in the balance, the fund balance. It's like $5,923. So it basically is saying that we had a deficit of $5,923, which isn't bad compared to I think at the last meeting I had said maybe a $50,000 or $60,000 loss, and we didn't have that. So that's really good. It shows the fund balance at the beginning of the year. So the beginning of 2020, it was $1,394,000. And then again, at the end of the year is $1,388,000. And the difference is that $5,900. Okay. Let's see. Next few pages are just what I have to put in there, just the rules and that just about every entity has. The next one I think you'd be interested in tonight would be page 8. And that is number 2, equity and pooled deposits and investments. It's just how much money, again, that we had at the end of the year in our accounts. Demand deposits are our checking account. We had $418,932. In CDs, we had $160,000. And in Star Ohio, we had $812,198. And that comes to $1,391,131. I will mention that the interest rates are so low everywhere right now. In fact, that CD was our last one, and that was at 1.75, but we just had that one they rolled it over into our checking account. The term had come up this month, I believe. Last month, I'm not sure, one or the other. So I'm going to go ahead and put that money in Star Ohio. It's less than 0.5% right now, but that's all really that we can get. Okay, were there any questions on that? I think we're pretty much done with that report. Feel free to look at that in your leisure. Those are the main numbers I think that you would be concerned with. The next is our balance sheet. And this just shows December 31st, 2019 versus December 31st, 2020. If you look at, let's see, let's go down to liabilities and equity, the second set of columns. Again, it'll show, really, it just shows what we carried over. From 2019, there was 1,332,000 at the beginning, and we had an excess of $61,000. But that was the end of 2019. If you look to the left, at the end of 2020 was that deficit of 59,23,21. So that it really is just telling you the same numbers, but a little easier to see. The next report is the year-to-date financial 2020, and that is the one that you're used to seeing. It has all the really the same numbers in it, other than it's by line item. You'll see that our income was 102.4% of the budget, and our expenses on the back page were 92.4%. Okay, and then again, you'll see on the back page that number of minus 592321. Okay, did anyone have any questions on 2020? Okay, let's go to 2021. You know, we have received 17% of our budget revenue. And then on the second page, we have spent 8.2% of our budgeted expenses or appropriations. So we've just started. Hamilton County Auditor, the real estate money's coming in and everything else is going just like it's supposed to. Anyone have any questions on the 2021 budget? Okay, next I have expenses by vendor detail, December and January. If you'd like to look at those, and if you have any questions, let me know.
Any questions on the expense reports and the other reports as presented? Other than the annual resolution, I'll take a motion on the finance reports as submitted by Belinda.
So moved.
Frank?
Second.
Don? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. We have a resolution of, it passed, thank you. Annual resolution on online auction, Belinda?
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to give you a heads up on that'll be coming up. We'll have two resolutions, the internet auction and a Columbia Township one. But the internet auction, we have to do this every year, just in order for us to buy and sell.
Okay. Anything else, Belinda?
Nope, that's it.
All right. At this time, we report to the Director of Operations. Chief?
Thank you. First, I'm going to start off by thanking the district employees for a tremendous 2020. It was, if you guys already know, crazy. But I think the staff did a good job of handling the pandemic well, staying healthy, keeping their families healthy. So it was a big effort from everybody from the top to our newest employees. So I want to publicly thank them for all their hard work and look forward to hopefully a brighter 2021. Last month, I emailed or hand-delivered a copy, depending on your preference, a copy of the 2020 annual report. I think it gives a pretty fair snapshot of what we do year in and year out. Every year, I try to make it a little bit more informative based upon what I hear, questions from the board throughout the year, or if I learn how to work a new chart or a new system, I can throw it in just to keep it kind of fresh. So if anybody has any questions on the annual report, happy to entertain them at tonight's meeting. It then brings me to the enclosed report that were in your packets tonight. Again, I think it just gives you a snapshot of what we've been doing the last 2 months since our meeting in December. Two parts I'd like to kind of discuss, albeit briefly. The first is the discussions we've had with Golf Manor. Just to bring you up to speed, I touched base with their assistant administrator, who's a council member as well, and they're still evaluating their options, of which our district is one. They're still trying to work out their leaving the Little Miami Fire District, so there's some things up in the air. We've advised them that if there's any questions, we're always open to discussion. Please let us know. They assure us that they would keep us in the loop as things go further down the road. So again, everything stands pretty much as where we left it, I guess, back in November when I sent you guys a memo last time around. And then the Columbia Township contract, I'd like to touch on that as well because there is a resolution attached with this. Mike Lemon, who is the former township administrator, has been tasked with working out the contracts for fire service and also work out the transition of Little Miami and Gulf Manor splitting apart. So we met last month to discuss 2021 renewal of the contract. And as we discussed it, we knew there was going to be probably an increase just because it's been 3 years. But he also had the idea, and I concurred, that we'd like to reset this contract to get it back more towards our actual fiscal year versus this thing renewing in April to make things a little bit easier on Belinda in terms of calculating our budgets. It kind of sets some time frame where we know this is a yearly, every 3 years, we know what's going to occur. It also helped Little Miami out as they start to evaluate, Columbia Township, as they start to evaluate what their needs for future fire service would be with the dissolution of the district as it currently exists. It may have implications for us, it may not, it just remains to be seen. But it was my recommendation after looking at the proposed contract from Columbia Township that we go ahead and extend the contract through the 31st of December. Will actually be an increase of just slightly over $1,000 a month. So it'll help us out with budgeting. It'll help them out with their planning for the future. So I hope the board considers that as part of their discussion when that comes up for resolution this evening. And then the only other thing that's not included in the report, we are looking at the process by which we want to hire to be 6 full-time firefighter. As you know, we hired a lieutenant full-time, and he started last week. And now we're looking at a full-time firefighter medic in the entry-level position. So we are starting to look at some options on one, testing and evaluation process. With the COVID restrictions, getting people together at one sitting to take a test might not be practical. There are some online options, but they're kind of convoluted, and I don't think it would be fair to any of the candidates that might like to apply. So we're going to consider ways that maybe we can do some socially distanced testing. Perhaps we'll work out something with Deer Park and the community center or Deer Park schools if they let us use their facility again. We also want to look at some ways that we can do some targeted advertising to make sure that we get the word out on our position to underrepresented fire service representation. So that would mean getting things into minority populations, into female populations that don't typically think of Park-Silverton as a place they'd like to have a full-time career. So we're researching some of those options as well. And what we also would like to consider doing, and we'll have some more information from you as we firm this out with the staff. Typically, we've done a process, a testing, a review, and evaluation, and we get a list of down to 5 candidates. I select the one that's going to be the most appropriate and best fit for our district, and then that list just disappears. I think because there might be potential, depending on how factors work out, that we might have to increase our full-time staffing in the next few years. that we at least consider a way to maintain the list if we'd like to as an organization and as a board. To maybe give us 2 years to pick from that list. One, it might get somebody that to apply to us that at least they know something's coming up down the line. And it also, since we typically want them to be medics at their appointment, it would actually give somebody that's in medical school currently the opportunity to be applied, reviewed, be on the list, and then they'll have that extra bit of time if we're going to hire 8 months, 10 months, 16 months out from now to have their medic card, which might then open up our pool of candidates some more. So those are the options that we're discussing. And obviously anything that the board has in terms of how you might like to see us develop this process, we are more than happy to listen and implement what we can.
Am I understanding that you would like to have a list of people in place in case of future vacancies?
Yes, that would be
That's
that would
good.
be our plan. Yes. Again, just looking at some of the motion that's on the horizon, if we had to do this process again, we'd be repeating the same process, spending the same money, probably getting a lot of the same candidates for a second evaluation. And if we do this every 6 months or even every 18 months, it seems to me that it gives us an opportunity to, again, broaden the candidate pool and hopefully get some new people in here and try to diversify our full-time ranks.
Good.
Any comments for the chief?
No, I thought we were supposed to hold on to the list anyway, but to have a periodic run through the list is a good idea. To see any advancements in education and give us a better idea of the quality of individual we're getting.
I think, and part of it too, Don, is our full-time hiring is so infrequent that to hold a list, I mean, there have been times where we've gone 6 or 7 years without hiring a full-time position. So obviously, having a list that long wouldn't, everything's changed by then, so it just wouldn't make much sense. Whereas, obviously, a place like City Cincinnati, where they're going to hire 40 to 50 people every year, it makes sense for them to maintain a list to pull from so they can get, because it's a very expensive process for them in a bigger department to run that. So we'd like to at least model it. Maybe some of the other departments that do maintain a list, again, just to give us more options. And again, if we do run into a situation where somebody doesn't pan out because they couldn't pass the probationary period for some reason, we might have some candidates in that we could immediately fill a position rather than run through the whole process again.
Sounds good.
Any other questions regarding the hiring process for the chief?
Is there a possibility that he could perhaps consult with the other fire departments to see if they have anyone on a list that he could use?
I don't know. I assume those departments could give up a list. I don't know how protected that is in terms of their hiring process. But again, if they're on another list, another department, they're probably going to be aware of our procedures and would want to test with us anyway. Though there are cases, for example, there's some west side people that don't necessarily want to work on the east side, so they might not want to be on our list. But I can certainly check around to see what other departments are doing in terms of maintaining the candidate pool. I'm happy to look at that, but I don't know that they'll actually give me their candidates, so to speak.
Oh, I
We'll
understand.
give you the A list.
They'll probably give us the C or D or even E list.
All right, chief, anything else?
That's all I have for you at this time, unless there's any other questions for me.
All right, very good. So that the fact that he's given us report, by the way, your annual report's very nice, chief.
Yes.
Thank you. I try
And
to
congratulations too.
and not as I don't know. It seems to be a lot the same every year, so I try to find trying some things that they're adding pictures this year, doing it in a PDF format. I saved a lot of paper, which was good. So yeah, so
if you get bored, I'm sure Mr. Carroll and myself will love you to do our annual reports for us.
No, thank you. I'm busy.
Yeah,
right.
I did just really quickly want to mention, Denny, I really am appreciating your reports, your updates that you're providing have been great. Just consistently improving. I appreciate that. But I also wanted to just congratulate you on your acceptance into the OFE program. That's fantastic.
Thank you. It's, matter of fact, I have already have homework. Binder board assignments due in the next 2 months. So looking forward to the challenge, and it'll be fun. And there are, I think, about 20 of us total taking the class. The only other local is Chief Tom McCabe. He's newly appointed chief within the last year or so down at Norwood. So at least I know somebody in the class that kind of understands our region. And I'm really looking forward to it. And obviously, if I can use you guys as a resource, I will reach out and pick your brains.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I will give you that congratulations.
Chief,
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, ma'am.
I meant to say I would also piggyback on the congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else for the chief? I make a recommendation that we go ahead and approve the chief's report.
Second.
Third.
All right. Bert, Steve. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 All right. Let's move on. Statements, reports or statements by trustees in old district matters. Anybody got anything?
Just one, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So maybe what I should do is just ask Denny to explain where things stand with solar and energy efficiency programs, where the department is in terms of investigating those. I think if you recall from our December meeting, I had talked about a Solarize Silverton campaign, which is underway, where we're inviting people to explore solar on their home, their business. And I wanted to just get an update and maybe an expectation as to when he may bring something to the board, if I could.
Thanks, Tom. So we did receive pricing on 2 projects for the fire department. One would be to convert all the current fluorescent lighting, incandescent lighting that we might have in the firehouse to LED based, with also addition of motion detectors. That project we think we can do fairly early on in terms of cost and expediency. We are going to explore options of having it contracted out versus trying to do some of it ourselves. So we're starting to look at that process to see where it's going to be best economically and done correctly, how that's going to lie. A lot of that work is really just plug and play, changing light bulbs out, changing switches, some fixtures. So we'll investigate that to see where that leads. But the bigger project is actually would be the installation of a solar array on 2 portions of our roof, one section of the bay, and the bulk of our flat roof that's on the older section, the 1-story section of the firehouse. And actually the pricing didn't come in nearly as high as we thought it was going to. And I had some discussions with Tom to kind of gauge how Silverton looked at their return on the investment and with some of the numbers that we've received. And it really looks like the time frame for return on the investment is not as long as some companies or some residents get. The initial contract price is somewhere around $146,000, $147,000 to do the installation, do all the wiring, battery backups, etc. So we haven't looked at it a ton yet. We've kind of backburnered it at least for this month or two as we kind of get our 2021 kicked off. But we have we do want to pursue this further. and part of that pursuing is going to be looking at our roof. So I did some research, Tom. I know we talked about it. The roof was done in 2000. So the roof is now 21 years old. And we have had a few areas of leaks that we've had the membrane repaired. So once it thaws out, we're going to have some roofing companies come out and take a look to see what shape the roof is in first. And that'll be the first step. And then the second step will be either repair or replace the roof as necessary, in conjunction with, hopefully, if we can lift the budget, make it work, move on to the solar panel project. Again, it'll help us maintain some of the energy independence that we're all looking for. It meshes well with Silverton's goal of trying to bring green energy into the village. I think is one of the, I know we're not the biggest employer here, but is a big factor in what people see in the village. I think it would be good for us to kind of lead this charge by example as well. So we're going to seriously start looking at things as the weather breaks, and then we'll have some discussions with the board on, if we pursue this as a district, do we want to use reserve money right away and then get the payback as we go? Is there another type of financing option like we did with the Quint? So those will be some discussions for the board, but we are looking forward to at least supporting this and hopefully being able to get on board with the rest of the businesses here in Silverton that are trying to do it. So I think it's a good way to be part of the community and like I said, lead by example. So the benefits aren't just not just financial. It's for one building in the world, but if we're doing our part, it's I think it's a feather in our cap. So as I get some more information and some more numbers crunched, I will be with the board and we'll start looking at some budgetary aspects of this.
Thank you, Denny.
Anyone else under the old comments or district matters at that point? Tom, I'm going to reach back out to you on the solar stuff again. Okay. Reports for the trustees on new district matters. Anybody? Very good. Seeing that there's none. At this time, do we have any comments from the public or questions?
I think we can do that again with chat. Is that correct, Rob? Okay, thank you.
All right. Seeing that there's no public comment, let's move on. Now we're down to deliberations of trustees regarding district matters, operations, finance, and prepared resolutions or enactments. Anyone have anything there?
I have two resolutions.
Right.
Okay.
We'll move on to the next item is the resolutions. You have Resolution 2021-02, authorizing the board president to enter into the first amendment to existing agreement to the fire protection, EMS, and medical service of Columbia Township. Anybody have any questions on that resolution? Seeing that there is no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Move for passage of that motion. Move for passage of resolution 2021-02.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Steve? Are there any questions on the motion? Belinda, you want to call the roll?
Yes. Frank Maupin,
Yes.
Dottie Williams,
Yes.
Tom Carroll,
Yes.
Don Kincaid,
Yes.
Britt Bourne,
Yes.
BJ Yetter,
Yes.
Dan Lehan,
Yes.
Steve Imhoff.
Yes.
Thank you.
The resolution's been adopted. The next resolution we have is 2021-03, authorizing the internet auction. Do we have a motion on that?
So move.
Don?
The motion to adopt resolution number 21-03.
Second.
Dan Lehan, second. Any questions on the motion? If not, Melinda, can you call a roll?
Yes. Frank Maupin,
Yes.
Scotty Williams,
Yes.
Tom Carroll,
Yes.
Don Kincaid,
Yes.
Britt Bourne,
Yes.
BJ Yetter,
Yes.
Dan Lehan,
Yes.
Steve Imhoff.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carried and adopted. Is there any other business needs to be brought before the board? The next one's a tough one. Then I need a motion for adjournment.
Move for adjournment.
Dottie, second.
I'll second.
Don, all in favor signify saying aye.
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 Thank you all for a good meeting, and thank you for putting me in as president. So,
We also did vote that you were going to provide food.
We'll do it again.
next time.
Hey, BJ,
Yeah.
did you hear about Jack?
Yes, that's what the phone call was right in the middle of our meeting. So thank you very much. Okay.